1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, we'd like to welcome everybody into another episode of Talkin G-MAC, and we have a very, very special guest, and I know I say that every time that we have somebody on, but we're really excited to introduce you to this guy. Some of you probably already know him. You may know him and may not know that he has a connection to the G-MAC, so we're excited to introduce Dalton Mauldin, who, for those who may not be Trevecca Trojans fans, you may know Dalton because of his time most recently that he spent with the Savannah Bananas. But several years ago, Dalton was a baseball player for Trevecca Nazarene University, and we're excited to talk to him a little bit about his time during the GMAC and catch everybody up on what he's been doing. So, Dalton, thanks so much for taking some time out of what I assume is a very busy schedule that you have.
Yeah, of course. Once I got your message, I was like, heck yeah, I'd be honored to do that. So, super pumped to be here.
Well, we're going to take it all the way back and kind of do this chronologically. So, as a baseball student athlete, I have to ask you, where did your start and love for baseball come from?
I think, tracking it all the way back to like T-ball, obviously. I played for the Braves. That was my team. And my dad was my coach. Like, he played baseball in college. So I'm from Lake City, Florida. He played on the first team, the first college team that was in Lake City. He went to the tryout, made the team. Super cool. They couldn't they couldn't recruit. They just kind of had tryouts, and he went there, made it on. It was awesome. But then, so we started doing T-ball together. And then I think I just was a huge Braves fan because my first team was the Braves. And it was not the Atlanta Braves or even called the Atlanta Braves. It was just the Braves. And I was like, oh, I feel like I played for the Braves, whatever. And funny story, I got this cereal box one day, and it was like if you send this little code back in, they'll send you like a bobblehead of a player. And it turns out they sent me Chipper Jones, who was like one of my favorite players in the Braves. And then I don't know, I just felt a connection to Atlanta Braves and Chipper Jones and in baseball, and it was a way for my dad and I to spend time together. And I think that's what really started the love for it.
For those who are familiar with your story or have seen you on TikTok or know of everything that's going on with you with the Bananas, they also know that you're a singer and a songwriter. So I have to ask where that passion for music also started.
Yeah, so growing up, I always loved to sing. Never truthfully thought it was cool out loud. I feel like as an athlete, I feel like growing up, you have kids that are that do music and are good at music. Then you have the athletes. I don't know, just growing up, none of my friends did music. So it was nothing we talked about or did together. We all just played baseball. That was it. And somewhere along the way, I just somehow found a love for music, and I love to sing. And I thought I was kind of decent at it. But then I never sang anywhere, never sang live to anybody, anywhere, never played an instrument. And then once I started going to church in middle school, I really fell in love with worship music. And that was my favorite thing ever. And that's when I really fell into music and really loved music in the way that music made me feel. And then so fast forwarding a little bit, I ended up getting a guitar from my friend. It was a hand-me-down. He gave it to me. And he's like, you play guitar? And I was like, no, dude, not at all, but I would love to learn. And so I took it home that night, started watching YouTube videos. I picked it up, and honestly, just the whole process of learning something new and applying myself to something that I had no clue what I was doing, but seeing myself slowly progressing to get better and better each day was just super encouraging to continue to do that. And that's where I really fell in love with it. And that was, I think, my senior year of high school. And then I played in junior college back in Florida. And then I went to a school in Daytona Beach, Florida, called Bethune-Cookman. And I ended up tearing my UCL pitching. And so I was like, well, what's next? If I can't play baseball again, because I couldn't practice, couldn't travel, couldn't play. And I was like, if baseball is done here, what do I do next? And I had my one guitar that I'd bought my senior year of high school. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pick this thing up and try to figure it out. Because it kind of died off in junior college. It was something I still messed around with, but never seriously. And so I told myself, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna apply myself in another way, and I'm gonna get good at guitar, and I'm gonna get good at singing. And this is before songwriting became a thing or putting music out became a thing. And so every night from like I get home from practice at like 6 o'clock, we go practice to the cafe and then get home at like 6:30, something like that. And then at like 7 o'clock p.m. to like 2 a.m. every night, I would just sit in my bathroom, and because the acoustics were great, you know, it's just a music thing. The acoustics were so great, everything sounded so good, and I was like, I just watched YouTube videos. I started like learning my favorite songs. I started like really diving deeper into music and like my favorite artists and figuring out what they wrote about and how they wrote music and like structure wise how it made sense to write music that way, write songs, and then figured out like you know how they got to their main point of the song, like the idea of the song. How did they work their way to it? And I was like super intrigued by that, and I also loved writing. Never like poetry, just like writing. I loved writing assignments, which is so weird because I was like I could write for days. I just loved doing it, and so that happened. I started diving deeper into that, and then I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna force myself to post something every day the next 3 months, whether it's like an original I write or a song that I cover. And so I started doing that, and eventually that started catching traction, and people were like, dude, like you should put out music, yada yada yada. And I'm like, I've never even wrote a song. And then you know, like a few months later, hit up my only friend that I knew in Florida that made music, made a song together. The second song we did was Nights Without You. Put that song out, you know, whole thing. But that's really what started it. I kind of got hurt, had to face some adversity, and figure something else that I could be passionate about, you know, because I didn't think baseball was going to be an option after that.
Well, I think based on that story, I think I kind of see the writing on the wall. But I want to get into your college baseball career, and you mentioned those two previous stops. You transferred into Trevecca Nazarene in 2018. I assume it had some tie, maybe to music in Nashville. But I'll let you tell that story about that decision to transfer to Trevecca.
Yeah. So, all right. So, you know, played junior college at College of Central Florida. Took a year off. I had some arm issues earlier. Took a year off to make some money. Moved down to South Florida. Worked at TGI Fridays. Best job in the world. Highly recommend to anybody. It's the best thing ever. And then with the whole goal of going back to school. And so I took that year off, and then ended up transferring to Bethune-Cookman, playing there. And that's when I got hurt, and I did like rehab for like 6 months, and got like some shots in my arm and stuff, and I was feeling a little better. And I was going to play summer ball that summer in Wyoming, the summer before I came to Trevecca. And this is the craziest story ever. I'll try to make it quick. But so I get there, right. I get to summer ball in Wyoming. I'm in Casper, Wyoming. Day one, I'm talking to one of our coaches. He was like an assistant coach. He came on, and he was like, yeah, man. Back in college, I used to fish in Nashville, and I was like, well, college, because this is after I put my first song out in June of that summer, and it was, you know, my first song charted like it was a country pop song, charted like 17th in the world on all in country, and then like 81 in the world in all genres. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I could maybe do something with this, and I really enjoyed it, and I loved it at that point. And so I was out there, and I was like, my goal is to try to find a school in Nashville to go to. I was transferring. I wanted to leave Bethune-Cookman, and I wanted to be somewhere in Nashville because it was all starting to become real and coming to fruition. And so he was talking. He's like, yeah, I used to fish back in my school in Nashville, and he's a fishing guide out there. And I was like, what school was it? And he's like, it's called Trevecca. And I was like, hold on. Division II school? And he's like, yeah, how do you know about them? I'm like, dude, I was literally going to send them an email tonight. Like, I was looking at, like, Cumberland out in Lebanon with an NAI school, because at the time you couldn't go to Division I to Division I without sitting out another year. And I'd sat out the year before, so I was like, I'm not sitting out another year. So Division II schools, NAIA schools around the area was what I was looking around. And I was like, you went there? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, dude, I'm trying to go there. He's like, are you really? Like, you'll love it there. And I was like, yeah, dude, I would love to. Like, I was like, here's the thing. Like, I make music. I'm trying to get into it, you know, put my first song out. And he was like, dude, we'll get some video of you tonight during the game. I'll send it to the old coach. He's like, I still know him. I was like, yeah, okay. And this guy's name is Jason Hamrick, by the way. Played back in the day. And so he's like, all right, never met this guy before. And he's like, yeah, we definitely get you a spot. And I'm like, there's no way it's going to happen. But I have a really good game, my first night in Wyoming. Come back the next day, and Coach Hamrick was like, yeah, man, we talked to the old coach. Like, he loves you. And I was like, okay, that's great, but does he know the coach now? And he's like, yeah, he does. And he was like, we're going to get video again, and we're going to send it to the new coach. because you can't talk, in this time, and I was still registered as a Bethune-Cookman athlete. And so he's like, yeah, just get your release from Bethune, and then we'll get you on Trevecca. And I was like, I don't know about that right now. I want to go back to school. And so I play a really good game the next night. Hamrick, he records it all, sends it to him. The next day, I see the Coach Smalls at the time at Trevecca talked to Coach Hamrick and was like, hey, yeah, we want Dalton. We got room for Dalton. So I was like, all right, called Bethune, got my release. Had the third game there, and after my third game I played, we sent it to Coach Smalls. I got my release, so this is the next day. Coach Smalls called me, offered me a scholarship, and I got a chance to go play at Trevecca, and it was the best thing ever. And the craziest thing about this whole story is all three coaches at my summer ball team that day got laid off. And so I've seen Hamrick one more time. We went fishing like a few days later, and then I've never seen him again. But he was just like an angel that stepped into my life and got me to the perfect place that I wanted to be. It ended up being the most perfect place in the world for me to be at, and I was surrounded by the best coaches, the best administration, faculty, teammates ever. And I'm just so grateful for that whole thing to happen. So look at, like, so many things could have been so different. Like if I didn't get hurt and didn't get to go to Wyoming and all these things. So yeah, pretty crazy though.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. A little divine intervention maybe there, for sure. But you alluded a little bit to it there. But I really want you to expound upon what it was like playing baseball at Trevecca for those years that you got the opportunity to play in the Music City.
Yeah. So going into Trevecca, a lot of the guys kind of knew who I was going into it because I built a pretty strong following at the time, and I was pretty nervous too because they're gonna be like, oh, this kid's a singer coming in, like whatever, and I'm barely a singer. I just put a song out and I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm literally a baseball player, and so all the guys that's what they all told me, like, we didn't know what to expect with you. We thought you'd be like, arrogant, blah 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 blah. And I was like, no, dude, like the singing thing's still new to me. Like I don't even know if I'm a singer. And but the people at Trevecca, I feel like they just take so much pride in like getting the right people there. Which I don't know how it goes for any other team, but I've never been on a team that was like as close and everybody was so like goal oriented and like minded and so similar in so many ways with what we want to do and who we want to be and the person that we want to become, that it was so nice to be around guys that made you better people, coaches that made you better people. On campus, I couldn't walk from point A to point B without getting stopped by somebody asking me how my day is going and how music is and how's school, which is super refreshing to me because I moved here to Nashville not knowing a single person in Nashville and so far from home in Florida. And I could not be more grateful for like my time there and the people that I got to meet. Like I still talk to so many of my teammates from there all the time.
Well, what was it like? You had experience playing at other schools and other divisions and other conferences. What was it like playing in the Great Midwest? And what was it like? You mentioned some of those teammates, but what was it like? Some of those road trips, just the stories and the memories that you get to make when you're playing with great people, like you mentioned.
I mean, I didn't know what to expect either, so I'd never played Division II baseball either. And coming in and, like playing northern schools, my immediate thought process is like, oh, I've played in South Florida my entire life, and like we get to play all year round. Like these guys are good, and I guess I was like, I don't know what it's gonna be like. I don't know if the competition will be as good. It's just playing a bunch of teams in the north that don't get to play. It's middle of spring, and some teams haven't even played a home game yet. They've only came down because they've been practicing in facilities all the time. And so I was really kind of shocked just to see how good the competition was. And it just goes to show you, like, there's so much good baseball everywhere. And people will play anywhere if there's a spot. And I don't know. That for me, it was like not knowing what to expect as far as competition goes. Playing in Division II and the GMAC and getting there and being like, yeah, these guys are good. And so that's where I was like, man, I'm right at home. Like the competition is great. My teammates are great. I love it here. I love this city. Obviously I'm still here. I love everything about this whole thing and everything about the school and the organization, from a baseball thing to a school to the professors to everything was just so top tier to me. And I played at junior college in the Division I level, and like it surpassed all of those, like all my expectations. It surpassed that by far, being at Trevecca.
Well, I can't move on without asking you about the 2021 season. I think that, that obviously I'm sure is a special year for you, not only your final year, but a historic year for Trevecca baseball. You were Great Midwest regular season champions. You were Great Midwest tournament champions. You went on to the Midwest Regional and you won that. And then you moved on to the College World Series. I don't want to ask you too many questions, but what was that year like? Playing in the GMAC and playing in the Great Midwest Tournament and being able to win that, and then kind of the path from there on and that experience at the highest level of Division II baseball that there is.
One thing that was really difficult about that year is we were struggling with like COVID and like trying not to get COVID and trying not to test positive, because then you have to sit out. And like we had so many guys that year like had to take 2 weeks off. We had to follow the exact protocol. So that was a struggle that we had to like kind of adapt and adjust to, because sometimes we had pitchers out. We had like 6 guys out, and going into games where you have a few people out, the main people out of the lineup aren't going to be there, and it's like, all right, how do we fit it around and stuff? But the thing is, like, we just had so much confidence as a team, like just like starting off the year beating like good teams already, and we're like, dang, we kind of just whooped these guys, guys that were in other conferences that are always in that like top 8, that are always going to be in like the regionals, stuff like that, and beating those guys, and that built our confidence so much. And we had so many guys step up that year, a lot of young guys too, and even the guys that weren't playing a lot, like they were just such good teammates and so encouraging, and like it was so cool. Like whether you played or not, you had the same attitude. It's like, yo, it doesn't matter. Like I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna be the best teammate, person / baseball player that I can be, whether I'm playing or not. And if I'm not playing, I'm gonna encourage everybody the right way, and we're all just like slowly moving up. Like rising water sails all ships, and that's what it was. Like we were all just like rising water, and everybody was just going, and like we lost a couple games that we thought were gonna like make a difference and stuff. But then we got to like the GMAC championship, won that. Then we beat Lindenwood at Lindenwood, who had lost 1 game all season at home. Beat them in the championship, and like I was like, man, we're about to do this for real. Won the World Series, lost to Tampa and to there's a Nazarene school in Idaho. I don't know if you know what it is, but we lost to them. But I mean, it was such a cool experience. So cool that we got to do that, and I've always wanted a ring, with baseball, and we got one from winning the GMAC and the regional. We've been sick to get a World Series ring, but like could not have asked for a better season, and like to face that much adversity with guys in and out, and trying to keep yourself healthy and trying to keep yourself out of the way from things, because we COVID tested every single week. We had like a group of guys that was getting tested and like had to do it, and we were just like, hey, like just praying that it all worked out, and like everything in life, it always does. It's all perspective and how we looked at it, and we just had such good heads on our shoulders that year, regardless of what happened. And we didn't win the whole thing, but I think we came out successful and came out on top for sure in my eyes.
Great representatives of the Great Midwest, the first team to make it to the Final 6 from the GMAC. So a really special moment, not only for Trevecca and for those guys, but a special moment for us as a conference as well. I want to kind of ask you, you've talked a little bit about that journey through the baseball side of it, and we've talked a little bit about music, but after you got to Trevecca and you kind of established that you weren't going to be arrogant and you fit in with your teammates and all of that, how did you manage Dalton, the baseball player, and Dalton, the singer-songwriter? Because it's still a part of your life, so I'm assuming that, there were obviously still moments where music was important to you.
Yeah. Moving to Nashville, after I put that first song out, I had a ton of people like A&Rs with labels and managers of all these people like hitting me up and wanting to be involved, and hey Dalton, like what's going on? Are you moving to Nashville? What can I do with you? How can I help? Come meet us. Come meet the team. Blah 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 blah. And like and it was just a lot for me. And and I was so bought in on baseball. I'm like, I'm all baseball, and I'm just getting into this music thing. And it was super overwhelming at first because I had all these meetings with like all these managers of people and all these like A&Rs from labels and stuff like that, and to a point where I was like, I was doing also an exercise science degree, which are tough classes, like physiology and all these things, and I was like, I kind of had to step back and be like, hey, I can't do this. I can't keep doing these meetings and stuff because it's like, you have no free time as is as a student athlete full time on baseball and classes, and I just step back and be like, hey, I don't want to rush into any kind of music thing because like I'm here to play baseball. I came here to also make music along with this. It was like, 100% on baseball. Anything music that adds on is a supplement, and so not like half baseball, half music. And I kind of had to step back and be like, all right, I kind of just need to let everybody just chill out and do their thing. And I had two friends at the time that made music, and I was like, any chance I get, they're gonna fly down here. And we'd work on stuff. I'd fly out and we'd work on stuff. But more so, the whole time at Trebek, from 18 to 21, I was just every night, like I was just writing on my own, and I was just trying to get so good at songwriting and trying to figure out what I want to make music about, and how I want people to view me as an artist and what kind of music I want to make. And I think that really developed me a lot with my songwriting and myself as a person, and what I like to write about and who I am and like the aesthetic that I want to follow, and finding genres that I really liked and felt like that I like could fit in with, and felt like me most genuinely. So it was a lot of it was pretty much every night. It was a lot of like, all right, I'm gonna study for this exam for this long, and then I'm gonna go play music. I'm gonna go write songs and try to figure that out. So it was really on time management and trying to find a really strong balance for me because I was so in love and infatuated with music and how it was going and how it was growing, and also with baseball. So I'm like, oh, what am I doing here? And so I had to, and I'm like, also I got to get good grades in school because I've never been one to make bad grades ever. And they were really hard classes. So I really had to, like, it wasn't just common sense of you really had to apply yourself and study like all these parts of the body and how they work and all this stuff. And so it was really just time management and and on and making myself try to understand myself more and dive into how to be more, I don't know, just be how to be more creative instead of being generic, and knowing this is what I want to do and just trying to just write songs. It was like, all right, how do I dive deeper and write stuff that's real to me, that super scary to write about and to put out, but like that's my most true and vulnerable honest self. And that was kind of the goal for me, to develop myself for like 3 years. And then once I graduated from Tribeca, I don't know if you're gonna ask questions about it later, but I really got into music and met some really cool people and got some stuff going, and kind of where I am now.
I think that's the perfect segue because that was where I was taking this. I know that music obviously stayed a big part of your life, and I think a lot of the especially Division II athletes that we talk about, they know that their time as an athlete is quickly coming to an end, and they've that's the great thing about the Division II model is that school is just important as wins and losses, and I think that in seeing you have been able to build your following not only on TikTok but on Instagram, on YouTube, everything that you're doing in your music as well, you know, I think that what you're doing now is a banana. We're going to get into that in a second, but the way that you were able to kind of orchestrate all of it, where did that come from? At what point when you graduated from Trevecca, did you feel like you had to make a decision? I'm either going to play baseball or I'm going to be a musician.
Yeah, I think I'm still in that position. You know, uh, People ask me all the time, like, "Hey, what do you love more, music or baseball?" And I think I don't know. I think for me, it's like if I were able to play baseball for the rest of my life, that would fill my entire cup. I'd be so happy. If I was to be able to make music the rest of my entire life, I'd be so happy. That would fill the cup and everything. But right now, I'm in a position where I get to do both of the two things that I love more than anything. Like, I'm able to express myself, you know, physically, and like with a work ethic, in baseball, an activity that I've always loved as a kid, always dreamed of playing for as long as I could, and also express myself in how I feel and my emotions, and that's just so cool to me. I get to. I feel like the most important thing is you being to be like your most honest, genuine self to everybody. Like not being afraid to be yourself. And with baseball and music, I get to be so myself and express myself, physically and emotionally, and it just and it just makes me so happy. Like I just really just notice like no matter what goes on in life, if I'm able to do those two things, that's really like my priority, and that's what really just keeps me going. And right now, I have an opportunity to do both. And people ask, all the time, like, how long are you gonna do this? How long are you gonna do that? And I'm like, man, I'm gonna ride till the wheels fall off. Like I'm so grateful for even the next day getting to do what I get to do. And so, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of the you know.
Yeah, it does. And it leads me to my next question. And we'll get a little bit deeper into what you're doing and now in 2023. But, how were you first introduced to the Bananas? And how did Dalton Mauldin get to Savannah? And how did all this transpire?
Yeah, so back in that time when I was in Daytona and I was posting every day on social media, I posted a cover of Tequila by Dan and Shay, and it had gotten like it's like a little over 1 million views or something like that, pretty quick on Twitter. And I get a DM one day from Jesse Cole, the owner of Bananas, and he's like, "Hey Dalton, I'm the owner of the Savannah Bananas. We're a baseball team that focuses on like entertainment and baseball. We're in the Coastal Plains League, a summer league team down here in Savannah, Georgia. We'd love to have you a part of it." And I was like, never heard of them before. And I was like, "Hey man, I appreciate it, but I'm actually already going out to Wyoming to play baseball this summer. So, maybe next year." And he's like, "All right, yeah, sounds good. I appreciate that. Like, keep in touch." And so got his number, hopped on a phone call, talked it out and stuff like that. And that summer, I moved to Wyoming. The next summer, called me again, and he was like, "Hey Dalton, would love to have you come out here." And I was like, "No, I think I need to kind of focus on baseball. Focus on music." And he was like, "Okay, I get it. Just know that we'd love to have you anytime." Call me the next summer, same situation, and it was like the COVID year and stuff. And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm in Nashville. I'm focusing on this. I had a bunch of stuff planned out. Uh, thought I was just too busy to do this and had to focus on music and whatnot." And then so Jesse, we stayed in touch. He always just checked in with me. He called me 2021, my senior year in like March. It was like, "Hey Dalton, just want to extend the offer again to come play when you're done with Trevecca." And I was like, "No, I think I'm gonna be done. Like I'm playing done with college baseball. I don't need to go back and play another season of summer ball." And he was like, "No, man, like hear me out. Like we're starting this like pro league. It's only 8 games, but like we'll even pay you to come down and play." And I'm like, "I have no money. Okay, yeah. It's something I could do." And like he's been on me for so long about it. And I was like, "Yeah, let's see what it's all about." And he's like, "I promise you, it'll be the most fun you ever had playing baseball, Dalton." And I was like, "All right, baseball's fun already, so if we can add on to it, I'll give it a shot." Moved down there. In the Breakfast Bowl is what it was called. The Savannah Bananas played the Make and Bacon. Real baseball rules. And played 8 games. Got to meet some of the main guys and meet Jesse and be around them all the time and immediately fell in love with the organization. And it really was the most fun I've ever had playing baseball. And, he lived by his word. And just the people there too. I'm such a people person. If you have good people around, I'm such a sucker for it. And they do. And so that was what maybe just I told him after I played those 8 games, like, "Hey man, I'll be here. Whenever you want, you just let me know." And then I went back, played the 2022 tour, got invited to come back play the 2023 tour, and yeah.
Well, how did you see banana baseball progress? You talked about that 8 game series of being real baseball. For people who aren't familiar with the Savannah Bananas, and I think that would be hard to find someone who isn't, but there's some different rules that go into banana ball now. But when you heard that was kind of the direction that Jesse was going to take this league, and that it was going to turn into something different than maybe the baseball you grew up playing, what was that like? And what was your first reaction to these new rules, and how the Bananas were going to kind of take baseball in a different direction?
Yeah, so going into Bananas, like I already knew what I was signing up for, like as far as entertainment goes, and how they construct games, and just how open they are to trying new things, how they're not scared to try anything at all, because what you see is the Bananas, the growth, and you're like, these are the most successful guys. Everything they post does well, blah 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 blah. But that's not true. Like, to be the most successful on social media, like you also have to fail the most. We try like 18 new things on the script every night with like celebrations or like walk up appearances and all these things. And so like people see that we succeed so much, but they also don't see that we fail more than everybody else because we're always trying these things. A lot of things don't work. But I think going into it, I was like, yeah, I mean, anything Jesse Cole wants to do, I'm all on board on it because I know he's not thinking about the next 8 months playing. He's thinking about the next 5 years and what's going on next. And if it's working in his mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm bought into this. And of course, baseball is. I mean, I don't even watch baseball. I don't watch baseball. Like I keep up with some of my favorite players, but I don't ever sit there and watch a full game. Like I do think baseball is like super long, and I do think that there could be a lot more of some kind of dynamic to make the game, quicker and more fun and more enjoyable. Because my whole life, I did play baseball as though like everything mattered, and like I didn't have the most. I had fun playing baseball my entire life, but I also played where it was like, especially going to a junior college in a Division I school is kind of like, hey, don't mess up. Don't you dare mess up, or you're not going to play. And so being a bit intimidated or worried to mess up, kind of like kind of just like it doesn't allow you to be yourself. It doesn't allow you to play hard like you are like a little kid and stuff. And doing this, even being on the Bananas, playing real baseball for a little while, like those rules, I was able to like kind of let myself go and like I always revert back to when I played in Wyoming because I had like the best summer ever. I hit so many home runs and had the best batting average, and because I didn't even care. I didn't even stretch half the time before the game. I just went out there and played. I didn't even like hit before the game. I just had fun with my friends because it didn't matter. And so I always compare it to that because that's kind of the same thing. Like we do take it very seriously on the baseball things as well. But you just play with. You don't play with like a chip on your shoulder, like hoping I don't mess up. It's like, no, I'm trying trick plays in front of 15,000 people, and I might not get it. But that's what makes it fun, and that's what they really press on and hype on is having fun and putting on a good show. And like it is just like playing wiffle ball in the yard with your friends, like doing fun stuff like that. And that's really what it like imitates in a sense, and that's why I used to have such a good time doing it. And plus, the people are just a plus too. So that's like the best thing about it.
Well, I think sometimes, and I think over the last year or so, and I feel like there's been, and we'll get to this in a second, an even bigger blow up of the Bananas in you guys' last tour. But, I think sometimes there's some consternation as to whether you can consider banana ball baseball. And I think there might be some banana haters out there who think that, maybe you guys aren't doing anything good for the game. And, what is your, I guess, pushback to them, or as someone who's played it and who's down there entertaining the fans and the folks? Like, how do you explain banana ball to someone who may think that it's not real baseball per se?
Yeah, I mean, I think people that actually say it's not real baseball, they've obviously never been to a game. I mean, if you look, you have Garrett Delano on the Party Animals. You have Kyle Lugs on our team. They both throw low 90s. That's what you see in college. That's what guys in the bigs are throwing. Guys in the minor leagues are throwing that. If it wasn't real baseball, we want to. It's fun for us as baseball players because it is baseball. It's competitive. Like we get to play against like the Party Animals, and we even do challenger series where we're playing like independent league teams, and we're beating them too. And we're playing like our banana ball rules, but they're not for one side. It's just more fun to keep rules where people are staying inclined to watch. And like there's literally no way you come to a game and not have a fun time. There's no way. People ask like, what's it like? And I'm like, dude, like I can try to explain to you all that I can, but it's not gonna do it justice. Like you don't know unless you come. And like there's just so much going on. Like half the time we'll post something on socials on like Bananas or Party Animal socials, and it was from that game, and I'm like, what was I doing? Like, why did I not see that? Because there's so much going on. And I was like, that was today? And they're like, yeah, we had it in the script to like do this like big celebration or whatever it was on the side. And also like people think, the Bananas win every game. That's not true at all. We lost. We actually got beat on the season by the Party Animals by one game. They beat us. Somehow it came down to the very last game in Cooperstown, and they beat us there. I think by 2 runs. But it is real baseball. Like all of our pitchers a majority of our starters throw in the 90s. We have a guy that throws 96, a left-handed dude, and it's like people in the bigs aren't hitting that sometimes. You know what I mean? Like it's baseball, and they're like, oh, it's rigged baseball. You can't rig baseball because you could throw me the same pitch 10 times down the middle, and I'm not gonna do the same thing when I hit it. I would love to hit 10 home runs, but that's not gonna happen. I might swing and miss it a few times, but I think for them it's just like any of those people that comment, like the traditionalists of baseball or people that are negative. One thing to think about too is like, if bananas post something and it has 10 million views and 3.2 million likes, and then there's 600 negative comments. It's like, okay, let's think about this. 3 million people like this. 600,000. If 600 people commented something negative on it, opposed to 3.2 million people liking it, or maybe there's 7,000 positive comments. It's like, all right, look, the negative comments are such like an outspoken minority. That is such a small scale of people who have to step up and say something, and there's such a minority, and that does not matter at all. But they've also never been to a game, and a lot of times if somebody says something like that, and you like make a post about their comment, they're like, oh man, we didn't really mean that, blah blah blah, blah whatever. But I always encourage people, like, man, like if you don't think you're for it, like, come to a game, And there's a reason why we sold out every ballpark this year. There's a reason why we're playing at 5 MLB stadiums next year, and we're going to sell out MLB stadiums. There's a reason why there's over 1 million people on the waiting list to get tickets. And it's not because it's boring or it sucks. Like, it's because it's super fun and it's a real thing, and people love it, and like they love how it makes them feel, and like we love that we can make such an impact on people. It's so cool. So yeah, I always tell people, like, hey man, come to a game. Like, I've even offered people, like, I had a DM, a few of them being like, yeah, like bananas, blah blah blah. I'm in Savannah this weekend, and I wouldn't dare come to the game. And I'm like, hey yo, I got 2 tickets for you. Come to the game, and then meet the match at the game. And they're like, I appreciate this, man. Like, thanks for being yada yada. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, like you changed my whole outlook on it. And I'm like, I get it. It's like there's room for banana ball for everybody. And that's what we try to do.
Well, you've mentioned a couple of times this script and the tricks and the trick plays, and some of it you have to, I assume, rehearse. How do banana ball practices go? Where do you guys come up with these trick plays and kind of these routines, and how do they kind of come about?
We only, because our schedule is so hectic, we only get to practice maybe like once a week, twice a week, because we're on the road most days, and then playing. If we're not playing, we're usually on a long bus ride, or we have a 5 a.m. flight out of somewhere, and then we're pretty tired, or they give us an off day. Yeah, practice is pretty standard. Like, we get there, activate, dominate, stretch, throw, get ready, do daily vitamins. Then we pretty much have like a mass BP, mass bungos, where they're hitting us ground balls, and then really, like, we honestly never practice even trying to like field the ground ball regularly or catch a ball. It's like, how can we do something cool, like a trick play, and how can we plus it? How can we make it even cooler? How can we add on top of that? How can we make it to a thing that literally nobody can do because we're practicing it so much? And practice, like, there's pretty much no dancing going on at practice. It's baseball. We're doing baseball, and all this stuff. Usually on a game day, games are at 7:00. We get there at like 11, eat lunch from like 11 to 12, kind of get there. Some guys are getting there earlier, some guys are getting there a little bit later, depending on if you want to go in and work out and stuff. So say we're playing in Milwaukee. Game's at 7:00 this day. We get there at 11:00, 11:30, depending on if you take the first or second bus, eat lunch, and then at 1:00 we start entertainment meeting. Entertainment meeting is where our head of director of entertainment comes in. His name's Zach Frangelo. It's freaking awesome. He ran and for the Vegas Knights and stuff like that too, hockey team. But we see our script, and it's like, okay, if we hit a home run, here's the home run celebration we're doing, and then we rehearse that. If we first double of the game, if anybody hits a double, as soon as they hit double, we're all running to second, doing a line dance. Dalton, you're gonna sing "Friends in Low Places," your second at bat today, and we practice all these things as a whole, and that takes about like an hour and a half. And so at 2:30 we start batting practice. We hit until like 3:45, and then from 3:45 to 4:15 is kind of like a downtime where we have 30 minutes to chill, like 35 minutes, and that's usually like where I'll go get a workout in at the facilities, workout room or whatever, or like sometimes people will just get like some treatment done on their legs or shoulder or whatever. Our Lady Frances is awesome; she's our athletic trainer. Or some guys will just make some TikToks or whatever it is. And then at 4:30, we have VIB come in, which is very important bananas. They're part of our like K club, and they sign up to get to meet us early. They come in, we sign autographs, take pictures with them, hang out for a little bit, and then we do our rehearsals again, like a really fast paced rehearsal instead of like a 2 hour one. It's like 15, 20 minutes. And usually I'm like rehearsing like some dance or rehearsing like something I'm singing, and then like sound checking. And then at 5:30 we run out. There's a huge line in front of the stadium. Run out, high five everybody, do a dance, welcome them in, and they're all in by like 5:45, 6 o'clock, and people just start spilling in until 7 o'clock. And then we have entertainment on the field from 6 to 6:55, and at 7 o'clock is the first pitch. And then we play from 7 to 9. And then so at this point, we've already been there 10 hours this day. Play from 7 to 9, and like 9:15, we go back out to the plaza where everybody walked in, and basically as like a thank you to the fans, like thanks for coming, hope to see you again. And we sign autographs, sometimes an hour, sometimes 2 hours, depending on you can stay out there as long as you want. And a few of us like to stay out there the entire time because there's people that have been on the waiting list for 2 years to see a game, and so like we owe it to them to stay out there till the last person goes home. And then we get done about 11, and we go back up, eat dinner about 11:15, and then get back to the hotel like 12:30 probably, and then repeat the process. We probably have a game the next day too.
I think that um, the Bananas have really taken, I think, the world by storm in 2023, whatever it was. And I think some of it had to do with the success of TikTok and being able to reach so many fans across the world. But what was that 2023 tour like? 80 plus games, 30 plus cities. You guys were on the move all the time. What was that like from your standpoint to meet people across the world and to hear their stories and to play baseball at, some really cool places?
I think what's pretty cool is like so I'm one of the guys that's on the inside of things. I'm a player. I show up. I do the same thing every day, like trying to be the best baseball player slash banana ball player slash most like interactive with fans. Try to be a better role model and try to inspire and impact people. And I try to do that every day. So no matter what, I'm showing up, Monday through Sunday to do the same thing. But then while at the same time, there's so much growth going on in the background that we don't even see. Like we had last year. I think last March 2022, we hit 1 million followers on TikTok, and then now they're over like 7 million, and it's like 1 million to 7 is pretty good. No, that's 7 times as many, and that's a lot of people. And obviously, like it shows like last year we were playing some of our places we were playing at were like 6,000-7,000, and then we played some places this year that were like 17,000, and it was full. And so there's so much growth going on, and you don't really realize it from being on the inside of things, truthfully. But then you run into fans, and you're in situations where you're like, "Whoa, okay, this is okay, yeah, this is big, and this is so eye opening." And that's when you're like, "All right, this thing really is taking off." Like we always see the numbers, of course, but it's not to you like these like really cool moments with fans and like how much this means to them and how much they know us and they know us individually and they know things about us, and like they're like doing all these things, going out of their way just so they can get their friends and family to come, and like how much of an impact it's been on some things they had going on in their life, and we've just made it better by getting to know, because like we want to make connections with fans, like not just like a hey, thanks for coming, here's our autograph. Like that's cool, but like we want to like talk, we want to get to know them. That's why we're out there for sometimes 3 hours after a game talking to fans, because like that's what we take pride in. And it's not even like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. No, it's like that's what we want to do. And so sometimes situations will come about, and then you'll just be like, yeah, and then like you'll think about it before you go to bed at night. Like one of the things that you think about it all day, and you're like, wow, this thing really is growing, and we are actually making a difference. That's like really, really impactful to people. Not just showing up, giving them a good show to watch. It's like it's so much deeper than that when you have so many individuals who are the same as you and want to do the same thing. You know what I mean?
Well, you've been able to play baseball, travel, pursue music. When you signed to play college baseball, I'm sure that was a big deal for you, but did you have any idea, even if going back to T-ball, did you have any idea that baseball may take you to the place that you are right now?
Um, all I knew growing up was I wanted to play baseball, and I always told myself I'm going to play baseball as long as I can, because that's like it was the most important thing in my life, and that's like the thing that I got to come home every summer and like practice with my dad and throw with my dad, and like that was like my favorite thing to do. Like we would like that was a way for us to hang out and bond, and that was what I guess just cherished the most. And so I'm like, I'm gonna hold on to this as long as I can. And my whole life I was like, I want to play for the Atlanta Braves. I want to be a teammate with Chipper Jones, like all these things. And so no, I didn't know that it would lead me to this exact thing that I'm at, obviously, but definitely, I think definitely, here's my dog right here. Hey, Gene. Gene, hold on a second.
Hey, sorry.
Gene. This is Gene. Gene.
Come on, girl.
Um, but no, I did know, like, I want to do this for as long as I could, and any opportunity I could get post college would be awesome, and then once music became a thing, I was like, I don't know, I was like, maybe there's another path in line, but then just so that two things aligned up and I was able to do the same thing. So in the back of my mind, I don't want to say yes, because I knew I could get this. It was more so like I was definitely very hopeful for it and knew like how hard I wanted to work for it to hopefully something would come out of it after post college and stuff like that. And as I got older.
Well, Savannah's just made some announcements about 2024, and you mentioned some of the big things that they're doing for their 2024 tour. Can you tell our listeners and our watchers, a little synopsis about what's in store for the Savannah Bananas in 2024?
This next year, playing at a lot of the same cities, playing at a bunch of bigger stadiums. We're playing where the Houston Astros play, playing where the Boston Red Sox play, playing where the Miami Marlins play. We're playing where the Cleveland Guardians play, and we are playing also Fenway, Minute Maid, Miami. Oh, and where the Nationals play. So that's super exciting because we've played in those regions around the world and built that fan base and like played in those surrounding cities, surrounding that big ballpark that we've always wanted to play at. We played in like Portland, Maine, Brockton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, like all these little surrounding areas around like that Northeast. And now it's like, and building that fan base around there, boom, now it's Fenway. Now it's Boston. And Fenway doesn't hold that many people. And like the tickets are going to be really hard to get for that. And they're also going to sell out like a Taylor Swift concert, I feel like, to be honest. And so we're doing some really cool stuff like that. Something fun that we're doing at the end of the year, we're doing Banana Land at Sea, which is we're doing a cruise with some of like our biggest fans. We're going to the Bahamas, and we're just going to be pretty much hanging out with them the whole trip, going down there, doing that stuff, and then maybe eventually go back down there to play baseball in the Bahamas, and then for the year after next, like moving on to some international places. But nonetheless, we're playing in front of double the amount of fans this past year, playing a little bit smaller of a schedule instead of 87 games. But yeah, like the NFL play like 15, 16 games and play it in front of so many people, and we're kind of implementing that as well, like playing a little bit less games in bigger venues and expanding in that sense for this next year, which is super exciting.
Some fun things for sure in store for Banana Ball in 2024. So I know that'll be really exciting. But before I let you go, I have to ask you about the music. You've continued to put out music. I'm going to give you some time to plug yourself a little bit. But how can people find that music? And what's next for Dalton Mauldin as the songwriter and the musician?
Yeah. So for me right now, I'm in Nashville the next 4 months until we go back to Savannah. And my goal is to make as much music as possible, usually making like 4 songs a week and figuring out the best songs that I like, and going to be releasing a lot of them on tour next year. But for right now, if you go to Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Google Play, Deezer, Tidal, like 37 different platforms, pretty much just look up my name, Dalton Mauldin, Dalton Mauldin. All my music is on there, and I do have a new song coming out pretty soon. Just getting all the visuals behind it shot, and then should be getting it submitted to come out pretty soon. So really pumped for that, and excited to see what the next 4 months has in store. Excited to see what kind of music I create, and I'm super blessed to get to work with some really talented people here in town, and continue to work with them, continue to get better and work on my craft, and while at the same time train and get ready for next season and rock and roll next year.
Well, fun stuff. You heard it here first. Dalton Mauldin's going to have some new music coming out. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you follow him on all the social medias to keep up with what he's doing musically and on the baseball diamond. Well, Dalton, we appreciate your time this afternoon. I know you're busy, as you said, and it was really great to hear about your time at Trevecca and all the things that you've done since then. And we're obviously really proud to have you representing the Great Midwest as a Savannah Banana. And we look forward to seeing what 2024 and that world tour has in store for you.
Heck yeah. Thanks, Katie. It was so nice to get to meet you via podcast, via interview. But yeah, super grateful for the opportunity. So thanks for having me on here.